I'm looking for a pen tester, I can't take somebody right out of school. Pen testing takes years of experience to develop that skill set. So I really do think it's a myriad of both. I think there is a skill set that's both perceived and actually factual. So that's kind of my position.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I mean, I think I would just be regurgitating what everyone else has said so far, but I kind of want to dovetail off of what Dave said, and I think it's I agree. Like, it does bother me when everyone just says, "Oh, there's a skills gap," and nobody questions it critically. Like, I'm always the person that wants to question that and say, "Okay, there's a skills gap. Why do you say that?" And give me some data. So I appreciate Dave doing some research on that and actually giving some feedback there. And I tend to kind of agree with you. I don't think there's a skills gap necessarily. I don't like that terminology. It's like you need some special superhero skill to be a cybersecurity professional. There might be a learning curve, right? But that's in any job that you work, no matter what. That's life. We learn as we grow, or we grow as we learn, I should say. So I think partially it's just working to build those muscles in our organization. It's probably leading into the next question, but I'm a big baseball fan, and so as you can see from my bobbleheads on my shelf here, so I'm a big proponent of working to grow that stuff organically within the organization. Like you say, you're thinking about a pen tester, and you can't hire one off the street, but you can look at some people that are in the organization and say, okay, I think they have the skill set to be a great pen tester, maybe not just the knowledge. So let's start developing that now and building our farm system, so to speak, right? To bring them to the pros at some point. So, yeah.
Really good points across the board. I feel like, it's interesting to hear everyone's different thoughts there. The next kind of question I wanted to put out there is, how can cybersecurity leaders make an impact here and actually help narrow the gap? Jesse, did you want to start with that one?
Yeah, I'm all primed up to take that one. So, so my thing is, if I always like to try and boil things down a bit, and I'd say the one thing I could say is we need to pick up a shovel. Like, if you want to narrow the gap, you personally have to do something about that. And I'm talking you in the royal sense in terms of me. I need to pick up a shovel and do something. I don't need to sit there and say and look at all these applicants coming in and saying, oh, they're not qualified, they're not qualified, they're not qualified. Well, is that a function of that I'm not being involved? Dave, you said you've gone and rewritten job descriptions to bring the right candidates in, doing those kinds of things. And I think another really important piece of that is mentoring both people within and without your company, because when you meet someone that this, if we're passionate about what we do, I don't think you can be in this field without being passionate about it. If we're passionate about what we do, we should be looking and trying to build up people around us. So it starts very locally and organically. So I think mentoring is another really big piece of that, is trying to help people that you see that are that you might meet in church, in social clubs, wherever you're at, and saying, hey, you want to be in cyber? Okay, I'll help you. Here's all the things that have worked for me, and really take an interest and help try to grow those people up.
Yeah, if I can actually build off that, if you don't mind, it's interesting you say that, because we've had 2 interns in our company that were willing to do an unpaid internship. And I know that some people will shy away from that because security is expensive to get into, to go to classes. The one I hired, he's my tier 2 SOC analyst. And the other one has gone on to work for a major security firm as an analyst. She initially started out in healthcare. So I think sometimes, on the other side, we have to be creative enough to say, we'll give you these opportunities. Unfortunately, there's not budget for it, because sometimes security is super expensive. We got to be really honest with ourselves. But we can, to your point, Jess, I think, Jesse, say, here's a mentorship opportunity, which is, you're going to come in, you'll do an unpaid internship a couple of days a week. I'll help you with your resume. I'll get you in touch with other folks in this space, and they may hire you as well. So I actually do agree with your assertion, and I hope that at least maybe my few examples help the audience.
Does anyone else have anything they want to add to that topic? Or, because I think for me, what comes to mind is, when I hear Dave say I have 450 applicants to a job, it sounds great. So maybe in theory to be able to help and find the people, but ultimately, if you only have so much time in a day to look through everyone who's applied. So do any of you have any thoughts? It's a little off script, but any thoughts on like what sort of, what your response is to someone who might just say, that's great, but I need to look for a resume match for what I wrote on my job description. Otherwise, how will I ever know in the stack of resumes who's a good fit?
Yeah, I think that personally, I think that there's probably a disconnect between hiring managers for cybersecurity spaces and then what the educational process looks like. I think in order for us to kind of close that gap, companies, hiring managers, Dave, you mentioned, or I think it was Jesse, you mentioned that us in this field are passionate about what we do. And all of us, I think, can point to people in our lives who helped bring us up to the level that we are at now. I think we all need to be active and diligent and inserting ourselves into the trade schools, into the college systems, into the local communities,